For 30 years, world leaders have gathered every year to negotiate our planet's future, producing moments of historic unity and spectacular collapse. But what has actually been accomplished? And can this messy process possibly save us from climate catastrophe? Welcome to the most important meeting you've probably never attended. This is where climate policy gets made, or doesn't. Today, we're going inside the conference of the parties, the COP, to understand what it really is, why it matters, and whether it's working. First, basics. COP stands for Conference of the Parties. It's the annual UN climate summit where all 198 countries that signed the 1992 climate treaty meet. Think of it as the world's most complicated group project, with existential stakes. The Kyoto Protocol in 1997 used a top-down approach with binding targets for rich countries. But the Paris Agreement in 2015 shifted to a bottom-up approach, where all countries set their own plans, known as nationally determined contributions. The real negotiations don't happen in those big rooms you see on TV. They happen in side rooms, hallways, and coffee shops. And everything runs on consensus. Copenhagen in 2009 was supposed to save the world. Instead, it nearly ended climate diplomacy. Rich countries tried to impose a deal behind closed doors, leading to total collapse. But Copenhagen's failure ultimately led to Paris's more inclusive approach. COP21 in Paris, 2015, was a breakthrough. Delegates secured the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, knowing implementation, finance, and accountability would be the real work. After COVID delay, Glasgow showed both progress and limits. Coal was mentioned for the first time, but weakened at the last minute by India and China. The gap between promises and action became undeniable. Coal was mentioned for the first time, but weakened at the last minute. The gap between promises and action became undeniable. Forget simple developed versus developing divides. Today's climate politics has at least 10 major blocks with overlapping interests. The first key conflict is money. The $100 billion was always symbolic. The real fight is over trillions, and whether it comes as grants or loans that increase debt. $2.4 trillion per year is needed for developing countries. The real fight is over trillions. The second conflict is equity. Climate change is profoundly unfair. The countries that did least to cause it suffer most. Climate change is profoundly unfair. The countries that did least to cause it suffer most. That's why loss and damage became the battle at COP27, and why establishing a fund was historic. The third conflict, fossil fuels. For 28 years, COPs avoided mentioning the elephant in the room. That finally changed in Dubai, but with carefully weakened language. The official negotiations are just part of the story. COPs have become massive climate festivals with their own economies, cultures, and controversies. The truth is, COPs create the framework for action, but don't guarantee action itself. They're a necessary, but insufficient, part of the solution. As we approach COP29 in Azerbaijan, the tensions are clear. We need trillions in finance. We need emissions to peak yesterday, and we need justice for those already suffering. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question. It's not are COPs working, but what works alongside COPs. Real change happens in cities, boardrooms, courtrooms, and communities. COPs can set the direction, but we provide the momentum. After 30 years, emissions might finally be peaking. Not because of any single COP, but because of millions of decisions made in their shadow. The negotiations continue. So must our pressure, our innovation, and our stubborn hope.